Welcome back everybody to Tony's Top Tips Workshop. I've just recently, my last video I put on was to show how to cut tenons on the 4040, and I've had some good feedback from it, but someone posed a question to me and said, what about if you want, that's cutting tenons, what about if you want to put a shoulder on the width of the tenon? I say you can do that as well, and I'll show you. That's what they mean by putting a shoulder on. You see that? That's a 5mm shoulder there, and it's a 5mm shoulder there. And if you look at the cleanness of that, there, no breaking out, it's perfectly square, and that's cut on there. I didn't bother showing it because I thought most people will probably either do a straight tenon in or actually cut the shoulder part themselves, but you don't have to. You can actually do it on here. You're obviously limited if you set it up where you actually put the material through that side up, because of the height that you can get the cutter up. So you are restricted on that. I mean, that's a 60mm reel. You probably get a 70mm reel in and you cut a height, but you can do it down flat if you wanted, but you'd have to pull your cutter out, and then you'd obviously leave a cutter would go in that direction, and it would leave a small round inside there, of which you would have to take out with a chisel. Okay, but it would do it to where your stop is from before. Okay, I'm going to take you over to the machine and I'm going to show you how you do that. You can also do haunch tenons this way as well, which is where it's got a cut out here, but it doesn't quite. I'll show you that, because what I'll do is I'll do another tenon shoulder on this side, and I'll do a haunch one on this side, just to show you. I wouldn't have been doing this video, but somebody's asked, and I said that if anybody asks any questions, I'll show them. And if you can see that tenon there, how square it is, it's pretty good. I'd be proud of that. In fact, I couldn't get them any better on my crosscut saw with the dado head in. The only thing with the dado head is you could actually you could lift it up more, so you could get about, I used to be able to get about 5-inch height rail to do the top on. So, but there's various other ways of doing it, but this is just to show you with the 4044 Pro. So we'll go over there now and I'll show you how we do it. Right, here we are at the machine. Now what we're going to do is I'll show you how it's cut with the same program that you did for the tenons. Okay, there's no need to change it or go back into the PC and design another tool path, because you can use it, although it's going past a bit further than what you would like for the distance of the timber. There's nothing. The only difference is that you would zero off on top of your timber. Okay, make sure that your spindle is up, it's as far as it can go, and your cutter is in as far as it can go, because what you'll find out is you could bottom out or top out and hit the limit switch at the top. So mine doesn't. It's up as far as it goes, the spindle, it's zeroed off, and it's in the same position as we did for the tenons. So everything, all the shoulders will line up. The only difference is you actually move the side pressure fence. Okay, you move that in a bit further, and once you've done that, pull it back like we did the other one. Okay, go onto your program and you would run the program. Okay, take a little bit off. Now because we've got the tenon there, okay, and you push it in a bit more. Because the tenon's there, it doesn't matter about any little breakouts on the corners here. Okay, these corners are taken off at the moment. I've taken them off with a chisel, because when I cut the mortises, you'll find that the mortise will be round inside. Okay, so you can't put a square tenon into a round cornered mortise, so you have to take those corners off. So any little chip outs doesn't matter, so you just go in as much as you can. Okay, And there you go. It's taking it down to maximum. This should be the last pass. There we go, job done. You shouldn't get any breakouts here because of the nature of the tenon that you're cutting here. Okay, is the shoulder's already been cut and scribed, so you shouldn't have any breakout there. As you can see on mine, the corners are off because I've taken them off with the chisel ready for the tenon, ready for the mortise. But as you can see there, the shoulders are pretty clean. There's no breakouts. Okay, so that's how you would cut the shoulder of the tenon. If you want to do a haunch, like on this one, you would put it in the same, okay, but you would move this stop down to give you your haunch that you wanted. You run the program and it would do the same, and that's how you would use it with the software program, just running it each time like we did when we cut the tenons. We'll cut your shoulders and it'll do them perfectly as it's done on these. What I'll do now is I'll show you how you can do it manually if you want to do it manually. Now the only other addition that I've got on here is I've 3D printed this, and that's the original one, which is actually for holding the rails that way. But what I've done is I've 3D printed another one, and you could use this in the same way as this one, but this is more so for the upright of the rails, so that when you put the rails in like that, it holds it firm against that. There's no movement. Okay, that's the only difference with that. About a 3-hour print, but nevertheless, I could have used that, but it's a bit more secure with this. Okay, right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go, and remember that stop hasn't moved from when we did that tenon, so you're going to pick that shoulder up there perfectly. Okay, so what we do is we get, and I'm using the same cutter, I'm not doing anything else, and we're using the offline controller and we're using the MPG. Okay, so what I tend to do is I'll move the x-axis and I move it plus, which will bring it across the top of that machine, that rail, sorry, and I roughly get it halfway across the tenon, as you can see there, to where the point of the cutter is. Okay, now that will leave a sweep out here, it all comes apparent. Okay, now on the that is just skimming the surface now of that tenon. Okay, so what I would do is go over to the offline controller and I go up to my Z axis and I would zero it, so that is 0 0 across the board there. Okay, it doesn't matter about the X or the Y, because we will be moving the X but we're not moving the Y. That's fixed. Okay, and that's fixed from when we first did the other tenons. So what we do now is we know that that is actually just scraping the top of that. We pull the tenon out and I put the MPG to my Z axis, that's at 0, and I set the machine running. Okay, and just to think, what we do is just push that across there. Okay, and it's fractionally off, so but that doesn't matter. Okay, so that would do then, it's on the Z, so I want to come down a millimetre, and I'm going to do a millimetre cut each time, so that would mean that the MPG turns to minus. Okay, watch your coordinates on your offline controller until you reach -1. Okay, that's -1. What you would do then is push that in. Okay, pull it back out, go down another millimetre. You could take more off if you and you just keep going till you've reached your 5mm. We're on 4mm now. And you're just cutting half of the tenon. Now you could probably, with a better router and that, probably take a bit more off, but I'm quite happy at what this is doing. So now we're up at the, I want a 5mm shoulder, so that's 5mm minus 5, and we know that little snatching here is just a little bit of vibration on the actual timber. Okay, once we've done that, what we do then is change it to X. Okay, and then you would move the x-axis to plus, which will move the cutter out, and you want to go past where the other material hasn't been cut. Okay, so we do that, go back to Z, okay, and then we lift that back up to 0, 0. That's 0, 0. Just make sure it's okay, push it in, take it down a millimetre again, minus 1, there we go. Down another one, down another one, okay, down to 4, minus 4, and down to 5. Okay, that's your 5mm. But of course, you'll have a little round out here. So what we do with that is push it back in, put your MPG to X, okay, and then all you do is just gently turn it to 2 plus, okay. Then once you've done that, past, and just wind it back, and that cleans up your cut. Okay, and that is that tenon cut. Okay, you can see there, lovely tenon with a shoulder on. Okay, what we do now is we take that back up to 0, 0 on the Z axis. Okay, right, back up at 0, 0. Now what we're going to do with this one, so we've done that tenon, that shoulder there. Okay, can you see that? We've done that. That's that one. But this one, we're going to do a haunch one, and I'll just explain what that is. A haunch one is one where you'll get that part out of the tenon like that. Okay, now they do that because normally on top part of a stool or a table and that is showing, but the rest is in the tenon. Okay, so can you see that? So what we're going to do is do a haunch one. Okay, so we've measured how far we want to do the haunch. So what we do is turn the motor off. Okay, put it to X, bring the cutter across to where we want it, so we know our haunch wants to be roughly round about there. Okay, what we do then, with our stop, we move that stop down. That meets our tenon. Okay. That's met our tenon there. So we know that is scraping the top, and that is where the haunch wants to be. Okay. So then we move the X-axis out of the way. Okay. And then what we do is we start the machine running again, then move the X-axis over to the amount that we want to take off. Okay, then we move the Z-axis down, try -5 first, 0.5, just to see what the breakout's like. Okay, go down 1, down 1, down another 1, down another 1, and it is the same process as what you did with the actual shoulder, normal shoulder. The only thing is, because you've no actual support piece at the back, you've already been cut here, so it shouldn't break out, but you might get a little bit of slight little bit of breakout there. But if you've got a sharp cutter and you take it steady, it shouldn't happen. Four mil. Down to 5 mil now. Okay. I'm only going to do a 5 mil orange. In fact, I'll take it down a little bit more. I'll do a bit more of an orange for you. Okay, so we're down 8 mil. What I do then is bring the X-axis over. So I put it to X, and then I bring it over like we did before. Okay. There. And then back to your Z, and then you'll raise the Z up again. Back to 0, 0. Check for your X. If you want to pull it over a bit more, you can do. Right, and now we go back down a millimetre. Okay. Cut. Okay, so we're back down to 8 mil. We'll put your MPG to X, and then you bring it out nice and slow, and then you would take it back through. Clear the cutter, pop it out, switch off. Okay. And there's your haunch tenon. Perfect cut. No breakout. Lovely. So you can do that. It's you would do it while you could leave this in this side fence. You could leave that in, or you could use the other one that you used. It's up to yourself how you hold that against that fence. You should have something there than just holding it, safety wise. But as you can see, done a nice neat job, and I'd be proud of those. If you're making a buffet or a table or anything to do with haunch tenons, spot on. So normal shouldered tenon, haunch tenon. Okay. The next, and it's in conjunction using, I haven't even used the PC, only for the original tenon where I chose to show you how to do it automatically, but you could have done all that, cut the normal tenons with the MPG and the offline controller. It gives you readings and it moves it accurately, so conjunction with both of them, they're a great addition to one another. So just remember, you don't have to have a PC attached to the machine to do work on it, and when I show you the jig and pin, that's another process that you can do without using the computer. Okay, right, the other way, that if you can't get your height in, because as I was explaining earlier, that it's dependent on this and your cutter height, okay, the maximum that you can get on the cutter, okay, without tripping the micro switches. But you can do it manually. You can move this up manually if you wanted to adjust it, but if you can't do it that way, you can still do the haunch tenon or the shoulders on the bed. I'm not going to show you doing it, but I'm going to show you what you have to do. Okay, I'll just take this off for the time being. Right, so you've got a wider tenon and you want to do the haunch or the shoulders. Okay, what you would do is you would set that down on your table, and you'd probably just put a support piece on this fence here. Okay, you wouldn't have that one. Okay, this would be completely open here, so I would just not have that returning onto that side. You wouldn't be really using that fence, so you could just have this false fence on this side. Okay, so then what you would do is, I'll move it manually. This will just show you roughly what happens. You would lower your cutter down, and if your cutter's not long enough, it is on this one, so it's not too bad. Okay, and we'll go through. So I would probably use about a 6mm cutter. Okay, and what I would do is set that 6mm cutter just off the face of this here. Okay, but down to below your tenon thickness. Okay, and then what you would do is mark your 5mm at that point, like so, and you would put that up, and then you would move your cutter right to that. You've got your shoulder stop there for this tenon, from there to there, from that face, so you can't go past that. So then what you would do is you would adjust your cutter to take that 5mm off. Okay, but you do it in increments of your x-axis going plus. Okay, so it will be going that way, so you probably do it in millimetre at a time. Okay, with your 6mm cutter, and all you would do is do the same, your side fence here, and then you would take a millimetre off, push it into the cutter, and that would take a millimetre off that face and leave a slight round there. Okay, and you do that until you've got in to that shoulder distance there. Okay, but in there you would get a round, and that's why I prefer to use about a 6mm cutter, because the 6mm cutter will give you a small round inside there. It'll go up to the shoulder, but it'll give you a 6mm round. So then what you would do, just turn that round, is once you've got that in there, you'll have a little bit of a round in that neck there, that corner. So what you would do is take that out with a chisel, and that has taken your shoulder. And you would do the same with the haunch. Okay, you take it out up to the haunch, adjust your stop to take it to the depth that you wanted, plunge in with your cutter, taking small minute amounts off with your x-axis. Okay, not your z this time, because your z is fixed at the height below that tenon. Okay, and then all you would do is plunge in bit more, plunge in again until you've got down to the depth that you wanted, and then that would leave a round in there with your 6mm cutter. Okay, and then all you would do is take that out, clean it up with a chisel. Okay, with a haunch one you not necessarily have to take the round out, you could just take the corner off the mortise inside. So that shows you how to cut the shoulders another way. So you could actually do whatever width tenon you're doing here. There's no restrictions. It's just that you've a little bit of work, and it's not much, with a chisel to take the corner out clean. Okay, in that one, the shoulder tenon, you'd have a little bit of a round in there, and you'd have a little bit of a round in there, but you've got to the depth you wanted and you've created your shoulder. The haunched, as I say, the haunched tenon, you could, on the mortise where that haunch is, just cut the corner off inside the mortise, and you wouldn't even have to bother taking that off. Alright, because it's not seen, and it's just a question of taking the corner off. So it's two. On the next video, what I'll do is I'll show you how to do a haunched mortise and a normal mortise using the machine. Okay, now you are restricted on the mortises because of the depth of the cutter and obviously your rail width. There's no other way you can do a wide rail unless you lifted the x-axis gantry right up, so you'd have to put spacer blocks in. But now, if you're an engineer, machinist, you could probably make some accurately enough and lift that up to whatever height you wanted. But that's the only restriction you've got if you're going to do your mortise on here. But you can get up to about a 60mm width rail easily and do a mortise. Okay, well, that concludes this short video, showing you how to put the shoulders on the tenons as well, and a haunched tenon. And as I said previous, I will show you how to cut the mortises on here as well, and show you how accurate they are when you fit them together. You'll be surprised. But I'll show you that on the next video, and I hope that's filled a little bit of a gap for the questions that I was asked on how do you create the shoulders other than cut them in with a saw, tenon saw and a chisel. But you can do it on the machine as well. No PC connected to that, just offline control, MPG, the work hand in glove. The brilliant, they're probably the best thing that they brought out for this machine. The extension kits, yeah, they're fine if you want a bigger machine. I'm not disputing that, but these two items, the offline control and the MPG, I think are the best products that they've brought out for this CNC machine by far. If I don't have to go to the PC to do any work, I don't. But there you go. So don't forget, in the comments, let me know what you think of the video. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and look, like and subscribe, because it helps me, and I'm steadily going up in my subscribers. But as I say, I just do this out of interest, really. There's nothing in it, financial gains for me. It's just out of interest. And as I always say at the end of the video, you be safe, be careful, and bye for now.